Yes, this is to subpoena the immigration records of Ilhan Omar and her alleged brother husband and another husband whose names I cannot pronounce. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is the principal oversight committee of the U.S. House of Representatives and has broad authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule 10. And this particularly, the legislative thing that this would inform would identify reforms regarding immigration fraud and denaturalization processes, potential criminal liability, things that we needed to address statutorily and legislatively, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Garcia to speak on the Mace amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment to the motion made by Representative Mace.
State your amendment.
At the end of the motion, I'd like to add, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of House Rule 11, the committee shall subpoena all documents and communications from the Department of Defense regarding the military service record of Representative Corey Mills of Florida.
Amen.
All documents, communications, and contracts from the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, of Interior, of Homeland Security, and Department of State related to Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And any business in which he or any relative has a financial or controlling interest, including Pacom Defense, Pacom Solutions International LLC, ALS LLC, and any documents and communications from the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, in his personal capacity, and the White House regarding any communications around the February 2025 domestic violence incident in Washington, D.C., involving Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized to explain the amendment.
The room was tense, the air was heavy, and every camera in Washington was locked onto one explosive moment. What started as a routine oversight meeting suddenly turned into a political firestorm. Voices rose, papers were shuffled, and accusations began flying across the committee floor. At the center of the storm stood Representative Nancy Mace. Across from her were lawmakers determined to block what they called a dangerous precedent. This was not just another hearing. This was a raw political showdown. It was about power, transparency, and who gets investigated in Congress. It was about Ilhan Omar, Corey Mills, and the limits of oversight, and it quickly became one of the most intense committee clashes of the year. Lawmakers argued over fraud allegations, immigration records, military contracts, and ethics violations. The line between accountability and political warfare was blurred in real time. Supporters said sunlight was needed, opponents warned of a witch hunt, and the chairman was forced into a ruling that would decide the fate of the entire motion.
The committee will now proceed with the Mace motion to subpoena the Department of... I'll recognize Ms. Mace to explain her motion.
Yes, this is to subpoena the immigration records of Ilhan Omar and her alleged brother husband and another husband whose names I cannot pronounce. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is the principal oversight committee of the U.S. House of Representatives and has broad authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule 10. And this particularly, the legislative thing that this would inform would identify reforms regarding immigration fraud and denaturalization processes, potential criminal liability, things that we needed to address statutorily and legislatively, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Garcia to speak on the Mace amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment to the motion made by Representative Mace.
State your amendment.
At the end of the motion, I'd like to add, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of House Rule 11, the committee shall subpoena all documents and communications from the Department of Defense regarding the military service record of Representative Corey Mills of Florida.
Amen.
All documents, communications, and contracts from the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, of Interior, of Homeland Security, and Department of State related to Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And any business in which he or any relative has a financial or controlling interest, including Pacom Defense, Pacom Solutions International LLC, ALS LLC, and any documents and communications from the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, in his personal capacity, and the White House regarding any communications around the February 2025 domestic violence incident in Washington, D.C., involving Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized to explain the amendment.
Mr. Garcia amended the Mace motion. Does any other member seek recognition.
I'd like to just comment on the motion.
Go ahead.
Then
go
I
ahead.
can- if I can comment
I'll
on it after.
recognize Garcia, then Mace. Go ahead.
I just want to just begin by saying, broadly speaking, on the initial motion, Congresswoman Omar is a proud member of this body and an American, and as American as any member of this body. She's a public servant and a fighter for her constituents, and she represents the American dream. And I know I and House Democrats are honored and proud to support her and to serve with her. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has endured horrific attacks her entire time in public office, and we admire her courage. My motion requests documents on Corey Mills, a Republican from Florida, and I just want to note that this is not the best way of handling these types of issues, and we are introducing this only because this is being introduced on Representative Ilhan Omar. And so we are forced to make this motion and this amendment to Nancy Mace's, Representative Mace's, Nancy Mace's motion. And so with that, I conclude.
Gentleman yields back. Now Chair recognizes Ms. Mace to speak on the Garcia amendment to her motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I support Representative Garcia's amendment, and you beat me to it. I was going to do this on the House Armed Services Committee, and I'm a little jealous that you beat me to it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. It is the best sunshine, and if there are individuals, I don't care about party, I don't care about affiliation, this needs to be we need to get to the bottom of it and what's going on. And quite frankly, I don't think someone that allegedly is doing arms deals should be sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee or the House Armed Services Committee. And if this is what gets to the bottom of what's happening over there, then I support it and I support the amendment, and let's do it.
All right, but you yield back. You yield to me. So I've had several members request information about trying to determine if Ms. Omar was involved in any of the Somali fraud and this and that. The thing that I've told people is the Ethics Committee is set up to do that. That's what the Ethics Committee's sole purpose is to investigate members. So we've got a motion by Mr. Garcia to amend Ms. Mace's motion. Both the amendment and the motion seek this committee to investigate sitting members of Congress. That's not something the Oversight Committee does, but we're a Democratic committee, and I'm not telling anybody in here how to vote. You vote however you want. But that's what the Ethics Committee role is. That's their jurisdiction. And I just wanted to state that. And again, look, I'm for whatever. I'm for transparency. You all vote the way you want. This committee's wired. You're going to vote the way you want anyway. I don't think the ranking member can tell his members how to vote, and I can't tell my members how to vote. I'm just telling you that's what the Ethics Committee's sole
Mr.
purpose in life is. So,
Mr. Chairman,
just stating that.
on a point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
Which one do we want to? Mr. Lynch.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I believe you're correct in your assessment that that is not something within our jurisdiction. That would mean that that motion would be out of order, not subject to a vote, and let's do this anyway, even though it's not within our jurisdiction. That's a jurisdiction of another committee, and we normally and regularly refer matters that are not within our jurisdiction to other committees, and that's how that should be handled, sir. Yeah. That's my thought.
The previous chairman of the, I'm going to respond to Mr. Lynch's inquiry. The previous chairwoman of the committee from New York, remind me, Maloney. She said the Oversight Committee has jurisdiction over anything and everything. And I kind of tend to believe that. But now the Ethics Committee has primary jurisdiction. There's no question about that. Now, do we have secondary jurisdiction? Possibly, probably, whatever. I'm not.
Mr. Chairman, under Rule 10, we have the ability. We have full oversight of the U.S. House of Representatives.
We can do pretty much what we want in this committee, but I just want to make it very clear so we don't start going down this road, or this committee will just turn into, investigating other members, whoever's in control. That's what the Ethics Committee set up to do. I'm not. Look, Ms. Mace,
someone
you
beat
can
their
file any
wife
motion
and it
you
was
want,
covered
and Mr.
up, we
Garcia
should
can
find
file
out.
any
Someone
motion.
married their brother to commit immigration fraud, we should find out. That's what this committee can do.
I understand.
Let's not defame
girlfriend.
members of Congress. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add to you, I just want to agree, first of all. I think Oversight Democrats, we don't believe either of these motions should be discussed. This is not the place to be going after members in this way. If there's a concern about a member, it should be at the Ethics Committee. But if members on the majority are going to go after members in our caucus, we're going to do the same. And so if the Republican majority wants to remove this amendment or vote this amendment down completely, we would join you on that. But what we're not going to do is allow the attack on one of our members.
And I'm
Mr.
not
Chairman.
defending or opposing. I'm just saying that's what the ethics.
This is what we do up
committee's
here.
supposed to
We
do.
just protect each other and protect our own, and nobody ever gets held accountable for anything up here. That's what this whole thing is BS.
It goes to the Ethics Committee.
Chair recognizes.
Which
Well,
then
we're
it
going
dies in
to
a
vote
black
on
hole.
this. Everybody's going to vote on this. We're going to vote on this because there's been a motion amendment. We're going to vote on the amendment and the motion. I'm just saying that's what the ethics committee is supposed to do. Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are a few times that myself and Mr. Lynch agree on things. I think he would admit that, as I have. But on this occasion, I feel he is correct. And while this committee may have the jurisdiction to do all manner of things, I think this is a dangerous precedent to set. The Ethics Committee is set up specifically for this task. And I empathize with Representative Mace that it seems like there is no accountability over and over again. And maybe in the case of Representative Omar and Representative Mills, I might even feel that way. But we have a process here for a reason, and the Ethics Committee is set up the way it is for a reason so that there is equal representation in a place that is hyper-partisan over the smallest of things, and so that there is a due process where American citizens, individuals in this body and serving members are treated fairly. That's why we have that committee. And if we're going to run members through a partisan committee, which all the other ones are set up to be so, I think that that's going to be something that we might enjoy the outcome of at the moment, but will not enjoy the outcome at some future time when we're in the minority. And so on this occasion, I agree with Mr. Lynch, and I would encourage the chair to render this motion out of order. And with my remaining time, I would cede some time to Mr. Lynch.
This hearing was not about quiet paperwork, it was about reputations, careers, and raw political survival. And as the gavel fell, one question echoed through the chamber. Who really controls the truth in Washington? Nancy Mace stood in that hearing as one of the few voices willing to challenge a system that often protects its own. She did not hide behind party lines, she pushed for transparency where others preferred silence. Her call for subpoenas was not about politics, it was about whether the rules apply to everyone equally. While others worried about discomfort, she worried about accountability. The American people deserved to know whether laws were followed or broken. Mace understood that public trust is built on honesty, not on closed doors. She refused to allow serious allegations to be brushed aside. Even when the room turned tense, she remained firm in her demand for answers. That kind of courage is rare in Washington. She made it clear that sunlight is still the best disinfectant. No one should be above scrutiny, not even members of Congress. Her stance showed respect for the voters who sent her to fight for truth. While others tried to delay or deflect, she pushed forward. That determination is what real leadership looks like. The motion may have been tabled, but the issue has not disappeared. Mace forced a conversation that many wanted to avoid. She put accountability back on the table where it belongs. History often favors those who dare to ask the hard questions. The people watching saw a lawmaker willing to stand alone if necessary. That kind of integrity cannot be buried by a vote. In the end, Nancy Mace proved that demanding transparency is never the wrong choice.